This isn't going to be my gimmicky, jokey videos at all. This is going to be my brutally honest take on where I think America is at and where it's headed. There's been a lot of stuff going on recently that I need to talk about. Fair warning, there will be talks of racial violence and possibly other pretty violent crimes. So if you're sensitive to that kind of topic, I recommend clicking off now because this is going to be a very straightforward video. That was your final warning. Without further ado, let's talk about it. So the catalyst of this video being made was two different things. I had recorded this video shortly after Carmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years in prison. But the audio got messed up and I couldn't upload the video. But then I find out just yesterday that a 1-year-old, Cohen Cartier Wiley, I apologize if I messed up the name. He was a 1-year-old boy who was shot outside of a Walmart in Mississippi after police opened fire into a vehicle, right? Unfortunately, striking the child, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital later. The mother's friend that was in the car with them too was shot and injured also. If I was to tell you what the main point of this video was, it'd be hard to pinpoint it because I'm going to be talking about a lot of different topics. And I want to start with this 1-year-old boy. So what the story is that the mother was, they assumed the mother was stealing diapers out of the store. And, you know, when confronted, hopped in the car and tried to flee. Started driving towards an officer, almost striking one. And the officer proceeded to unload into the car. Right. I can stop right here and tell you that, like, that response is like, so I'm not law enforcement. Never have been. And I don't know if that's what they're taught to do, but I've seen plenty of police chases where, like, a cop has almost gotten hit by a getaway driver, or not getaway driver, like a person fleeing the scene, and they've never unloaded into the car. And so, of course, I'm going to immediately go to, because they were black, you know, we know the stigma that they give black people is that we're violent, this and that. So it gave them a reason to start shooting because they presumably assumed that since they're black, they'll be up to no good, which is such a common, like, thought process in America today that, like, it shouldn't surprise me. And it doesn't, but I'll say it's more or less baffling every time I see it because we constantly hear about, you know, white people doing some bullshit, but they're never labeled as thugs or criminals or whatever else they actually are. But the second a singular black person does it, the entire group is, you feel me, grouped up into one stereotype, and it's that we're violent. If I can find a video, I'll pull it up for you guys. I was watching a police chase. They're sometimes really interesting to watch, actually. I want to say a few months ago. And the driver purposely swerved towards the cop. And the cop never once put out a gun to start shooting.
He just took off. He almost hit me with the car. Go. I can't with you.
On the radio, Independence Township Police say this was done deliberately and that it wasn't this person's first crash of the day. Authorities believe the man also crashed The suspect was charged with 10 offenses and was taken into custody.
He ran away with trying not to get hit, which is the obvious common sense thing to do, but he never once unloaded. There have been plenty of times where cars are fleeing from body, and you can see it on body cam footage and, like, traffic cameras. Not a single shot is ever shot. But yet, this poor child has passed because an officer decided that it'd be smart to unload into a car over stolen diapers. And the craziest part is what the story says here is that the family even denies that there was any shoplifting occurred. The women were just leaving the store with diapers and a child. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing the family who are demanding the release of body camera surveillance footage. The officer hasn't been named and he's been placed on administrative leave. Between our people getting killed for zero reason and our people getting harsher punishments than people who have done worse crimes than them, it makes you wonder, like, I won't even say wonder. It makes you realize that being black in America isn't safe. And whatever the Twitter incels are going to tell you, it's just wrong. Because they're going to sit there and tell you that it's the immigrants, it's the black people, it's this, it's that. But it's them causing most of the issues. Look at the state of America. Look who our president is. We're letting allegedly an alleged rapist, and an alleged pedophile, and an alleged racist, he's running the country, doing a fucking terrible job, but it's somehow always back to black people. He even released a fucking weird Twitter video of Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. That's the president of the United States. We're letting and this isn't alleged, this is a fact, an actual criminal run the country, but we're gonna sit there and blame the immigrants?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
The black people? Obama ain't been in office for a good minute, and they still talking shit about him. Biden ain't been in office for a good minute either at this point, and yet he's still being blamed for the problems today, which is just like, that's a whole different topic. But between this child dying and Carmelo getting 35 years in prison for his self-defense, that case actually irks the shit out of me. Let's talk about that right now, actually. So, for those of you who don't know, Carmelo Anthony was a high schooler in Texas. I can't remember exactly. I think Centennial High School. High school student track. There's a track meet going on. He has seen his friend under an opposing school's tent. He goes over there to chop it up with his friend. He was over there, I think the one witness said he was over there for like 10 minutes. Not bothering nobody, was not provoking anything, was just sitting there chilling with his friend talking. Austin Metcalf and his brother. Now, let me give y'all context for this real quick. From what I've seen, right, Carmelo Anthony is, I think they said like 5'10", 162. Austin Metcalf and his brother were like, I think they said 6 foot, 6'1", damn near 210. I'm gonna put up a picture right here of how big I was at 6 foot flat, 215, right? Then I'm gonna put a picture up there of Carmelo, if editing Tayshawn can even find the proper things for this video. Hopefully I have the material, but I want y'all to see the massive size difference there, right? Okay, so understand that. Now, the size that you saw with Tayshawn, that is the size that Austin Metcalf and his brother were. And I showed y'all a picture of Carmelo Anthony, right? Austin Metcalf and his brother approach Carmelo Anthony and tell him, listen, you gotta go, bro. So Carmelo's confused. I haven't bothered nobody. I've already been over here for like 10 minutes. Why say something now? I'm not doing nothing to nobody. I'm just talking to my friend. They keep telling him to leave. You have to leave, 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 leave. But Carmelo tells them, I'm not doing nothing. As long as you don't touch me, we are cool. Now, what the opposing side said is that Carmelo actually said, oh yeah, he reached into his bag and said, touch me if you want, see what happens. I can't even believe that, because no matter what happens to a black person, that racist, weirdo, pedophile side is going to make it seem like the black person is always in the wrong. A black person can be standing on the middle of the sidewalk and be shot by a cop. And the cop can give whatever BS reason, and they're going to sit there and tell you that black person was in the wrong somehow for fucking standing on the sidewalk. But I digress. I'm getting off topic, right? Carmelo tells them that, and they proceeded to keep provoking, whatever. Now, again, keep in mind, Carmelo is a smaller dude compared to them. You have two bigger white men walking up to you in a racist-ass state like Texas is, and they're now intimidating to you, right? So what it is that self-defense is, you have the legal right to defend yourself if you feel like you're in imminent danger, right? And while people argue that there's no reason why Carmelo should have been feeling like his life was in danger, that clearly shows that y'all don't pay attention to what goes on in the world. What do you mean two big ass white men walking up to him? White young men. They're all, I'm not gonna over exaggerate shit. Like, they all are teenagers, But at the same time, regardless, they still are a good amount, like a good size bigger than he is. What I'm confused about is how y'all can say that he doesn't feel like he's in any danger. Y'all can't speak for that boy. One, and two, he's a black man in America, in Texas, out of all states. I'm not surprised if he did. Clearly, he did feel like he was in danger, because he then proceeded to stab Austin Metcalf, and unfortunately killing him. And then he was sentenced to 35 years in prison. It's been a big thing about whether it's self-defense or not. But let me argue this, right? How can y'all say what Carmelo Anthony did wasn't self-defense, but then Rick Chow gets off scot-free? I need you to really understand that. Rick Chow chased a child, a 14-year-old boy, 130 yards from the store that he was supposedly stealing at to shoot him in the back. And it was fucking self-defense. I need y'all to really, like, listen to the words I'm saying. He chased a 14-year-old boy away from the store 130 yards. 130 yards, by the way, is longer than an American football field. An American football field from end zone to end zone, back in end zone, back in end zone, 120 yards. He chased him 130 yards, then proceeded to shoot him in the back, killing him, and he gets off scot-free. And you're gonna tell me that Carmelo Anthony has no reason? Now, the order of events wasn't like that, but it's a perfect example of being black in America is dangerous. Then people want to argue that, oh well, he had a gun on him, and I'm gonna make sure to say everybody's name, especially I want the people who are the pieces of shit to be named out there. They must be named. They must be identified, and I'll make sure to say the name of our brothers and sisters whose life have been taken by the bullshit ass system we have in America. Right? Rick Chow shot and killed Cyrus Carmack Belton, a 14-year-old black child, bro. He shot him in the back. Everything about the situation is completely the opposite of self-defense, right? For those of you who may not know, and for those of you who may be, again, on the side of Rick Chow because brain dead activity, self-defense states that if an assailant, let's say, breaks to your house, right? And you go downstairs with your gun pointed at them and you tell them to leave, and they turn around and book it out of your house, you are not allowed to chase them out the house and shoot them in the back. Once they turn their back to you, they are not considered an imminent threat to your life, which is the whole reason self-defense laws are in place. If your life if you feel like it's a reasonable cause for your life to be in imminent danger, then you have a right to legally defend yourself by any means necessary. If they turn their back towards you, how is your life in danger? If they turn back towards you and run, how is your life in danger? Furthermore, that racist ass side was talking about how, oh, well, Cyrus shouldn't have been in there trying to steal like those black people do, and he had a gun on him anyway. Brain dead lobotomite activity. Because just because now, albeit, should a 14-year-old have a gun on him in general? No. But clearly, for this literal exact reason, a 14-year-old child, let's not exaggerate. He's not just a young man. That is a child. Was shot in the back after running 130 yards away from them. He was actively trying to escape. How is that an imminent threat to your life? How is that in any way, shape, or form self-defense? Right? So y'all call that self-defense, but what Carmelo did wasn't. But the difference is because the person who committed the attack was black in the Carmelo Anthony case, and the one who committed the attack in the Cyrus Carmack Belton case was white. Well, Asian man. Yeah, Asian man. Not only that, let's bring up Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. There is literal 911 dispatch audio. This is crazy. I actually seen a post about this earlier on Twitter. They were showing a picture of George Zimmerman's bloody face, right? Because Trayvon Martin had whooped his ass. Now, why did he whoop his ass, you ask? It wasn't an assault and battery case. No. George Zimmerman, a 28-year-old man at the time, was following a 17-year-old boy, Trayvon Martin, right? A young man, right? Was following him. Trayvon Martin was, leave me alone, bro. I don't want no problems, leave me alone. George Zimmerman, weird, perverted ass, wouldn't stop following this child, right? Young man, child. So Trayvon Martin put his hands on him. whooped his ass bad, right? As most people would do if they were getting stalked and in the dark, you feel me, by themselves. Whooped his ass. A grown ass man got his ass beat by a 17-year-old so bad he went back to his car to get his gun, then went back to follow Trayvon Martin. There is 911 dispatch audio recording of dispatcher literally telling him, do not follow Trayvon Martin. They are telling George Zimmerman, do not follow him. George Zimmerman follows him, shoots him, unfortunately kills him. Once Trayvon Martin walked away and George Zimmerman also walked away, it is no longer a self-defense case. You can't grab a gun, then come back to shoot him later. That's no longer self-defense because your life is not in imminent danger. Furthermore, his ass wouldn't have been so fucking scared if he wasn't following a child in the first place trying to cause issues. And this is what I mean. People will start issues with black people and then get mad at them for reacting. Chud the Builder is a perfect example of this. He goes around calling people the hard R, black people the hard R for no reason.
We got 18 rounds for you. We ain't got nothing else. Don't follow me in my truck.
It's not like they're saying anything to him to provoke him to do this. Half the people he comes across be minding their own business or even be chilling. Like he'll come by, he'll say something, whatever, and they'll be cooling with him. And they'll go, yeah, you, and then starts hurling slurs at them. How much of a fucking loser bum do you need to be to find this fun, to find this funny? But then when they finally give him reaction, it's, oh, he's chipping out. He's chipping out. Look at this hard art. He's chipping out, huh? But then furthermore, he'll then start instigating it and provoking them by saying, yeah, follow me, I'll shoot you dead, huh? What you gonna do about it? You're a pussy, man. Like, you're sorry as shit. That's all it is. He's sorry as hell. Because then, how can you try to put on this big ass bravado like you big and bad and you tough, but you want to provoke somebody purposing to getting mad, and then when they get mad, your immediate reaction is, oh, I'll shoot you. It's not even like you're talking about throwing hands because you know you get your ass whooped, which there was a video of a black man that he did end up shooting, actually.
Viral video circulating online purports to show the chaotic aftermath of a racist streamer allegedly shooting a black man outside a Tennessee courthouse.
They try to frame it as, oh yeah, this black man, put him in a chokehold and, Chud the Builder ended up shooting him. This is how, I seen a whole graphic that niggas made about, oh yeah, this is how he did it, arm around, gun out. This is delusion, brain dead activity. They had to have been lobotomized at some point in their life because in the video, the dude was whooping Chud the Builder's ass, but the part that wasn't in the video, Chud already shot the dude. Chud had already shot the man, and so the man, in a very fucking obvious way, in a way that anybody would, start whooping on Chud's ass. And in the video, you saw him landing some good shots to the point where Chud had no other defense but to try and slam him to the ground and get on top of him. An already shot, wounded man, by the way, was whooping his ass. And you have people trying to justify it. Chud shot this man that was minding his own business that provoked him. Chud shot him. And then the dude proceeded to still whoop his ass with a fucking bullet wound. And somehow the black man is at fault. And this is what I mean. This is a common problem in America. But don't worry. This video is nowhere even near done yet because now I'm hot. Now I'm in here sweating. I'm hot. Let's really talk about it, right? Back to the Carmelo Anthony case. He had 35 years in prison. 35. George Zimmerman got off scot-free. Rick Chow got off scot-free. Kyle fucking Rittenhouse. Let's talk about this loser. He got off scot-free after the little crocodile tear showcase in courtroom after he murdered somebody and then shot 2 more people. So people argue self-defense. They were saying that, oh, well, Kyle was sitting there getting assaulted and getting attacked previously, like he had a reason to shoot. Let's talk about this. This is good. Let's really break it down. First of all, Kyle shouldn't have even been in that state. He is not from that state at all. But don't worry, we're gonna fact check everything because y'all like to sit there and, oh, well, that's just not true. We fact check shit on this channel. Right? I got time today. Let's talk about it. Look, Kyle Rittenhouse was from, however the fuck you say, Antioch, Illinois, right? The protest he was at was in Kenosha, Wisconsin. You shouldn't have even been there in the first place. But then He pulls up equipped with an AR-15 to a protest that was, and of course they're going to sit there and tell you that it was super violent. It was civil unrest. Like, they're out here attacking these people. Nothing that happened here equated the use of an AR-15. Kyle Rittenhouse came out there and shot 3 people, killing 2. Joseph Rosenbaum, age 36, was shot and killed. Anthony Huber, age 26, was also shot and killed. Gage Groskrewicz, I apologize if I butchered the name, age also 26, was shot and injured in the arm but survived. Kyle Rittenhouse was 17 at the time. This man was acquitted of all criminal charges after a jury found he acted in self-defense. What fucking self-defense is there? Let me tell y'all what they try to say was self-defense. So keep in mind, these people see a man walking around with an AR-15 who's clearly not on their side, by the way. So what does Joseph Rosenbaum do? He tries to be a hero. And I do commend him for it. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way that we would have hoped it would have went. Unfortunately, after they spotted him with AR-15, Joseph throws a plastic shopping bag filled with clothes, specifically socks, underwear, and deodorant, out Kyle Rittenhouse. Where did he get the stuff from, you ask? Well, you see, Rosenbaum had threw the bag he was discharged from the hospital with. He threw the bag at him and then proceeded to lunge at Kyle's rifle. Kyle shot and killed him. In what world is a plastic shopping bag filled with fucking socks, underwear, and deodorant a threat enough to your life to use an AR-15 to shoot you multiple times? So Anthony Huber got shot because, again, somebody else trying to get the AR-15 away from him. He had hit him in the head with a skateboard and tried to wrestle away the rifle. They're going to argue self-defense. They argue self-defense. He got off scot-free. White man, of course. And then people were sitting there saying, yeah, I think they assumed that he killed 3 black people. I don't know why they're angry about it. He killed other white people. Dumb fuck. Dumbass. The entire point isn't always because black people are also getting killed unnecessarily. Half the point is the fact that white people get away with any and everything. They get away with any and everything. And again, he has an AR-15, a fully automatic rifle. And his assailants had a plastic shopping bag and a skateboard. You tell me where the fuck that's equalized force. We go back to the Carmelo Anthony case. Of course, that entire side is going to argue he didn't need to stab him. That's not equalized force. Where were y'all at when Kyle Rittenhouse shot them? But of course, because it's a white man in America, y'all don't care. Not too long ago, right? Jeffrey Tyler Kinzer, a 36-year-old former firefighter at Robins Air Force Base, is accused of opening fire on a black family reunion in Lee County, Georgia. This was a premeditated act. But just fucking wait until I tell you what his punishment was. You're never going to believe it. Or maybe you will if you're hip to what America does for the white man, right? So on June 7th, 2026, Jeffrey Tyler Kinzer, he drives by, right? This black family cookout going on, black family reunion, right? He drives by there, sees it, whatever. He goes back to his house, comes back with body armor and an AR-15 style rifle. Body armor and an AR-15 style rifle. Unloads fire at the family cookout. Children, men, women, senior citizens. He was also hurling racial slurs at them. They were once again bothering nobody. But let me tell y'all what he got as punishment. Let's really talk about it. Ready? So, Jeffrey Tyler Kinzer was shot actually by one of the family members. He was an he was an ex-Marine veteran, and he returned fire, shot him, injured him, sent him to the hospital. Kinzer, this is what it says. Kinzer was arrested, released on a $5,000 bond, and charged with aggravated assault, while the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has joined the case to determine if hate crime charges will be pursued. What do you mean to determine if they're being sued? First of all, no premeditation at all, premeditated murder at all, or premeditated attempted murder. Shit, damn terrorist attack. How was a hate charge being determined? He went out there with body armor AR-15, hurling slurs at this black family and shooting at them. What the fuck do you mean hate crimes have to be determined? The proof is right there. Trying to sit there and determine if this is a hate crime is like trying to determine if the sky is fucking blue. You feel me? You see how dumb that sounds? But this isn't the only time that black people have been killed for no reason. Let's talk about it. George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin because Derek Chauvin decided to kneel on this man's neck for 8 minutes. Now, again, the racist ass side is going to sit there and tell you that he died because of a large amount of fentanyl overdose. Anything to make it seem like that a black person was killed for no reason, right? The autopsy states, the professionals states that he died from asphyxiation. He couldn't breathe. But what's interesting about that determination is that he says in the video of Derek Chauvin kneeling on his neck, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And what does Derek Chauvin do, you ask? Keeps kneeling on his neck. But let's talk about his charges. Now, keep in mind, Carmelo Anthony has 35 fucking years in prison for what was self-defense as a 17-year-old boy. This grown-ass man, right, was found guilty of unintentional second-degree murder, third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter. He was sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison. How could you possibly tell me that what he did wasn't as bad as Carmelo Anthony? Now, albeit, am I saying that, Austin Metcalf deserved to die for a situation? No. But at the same time, again, if you're already warned, as long as you don't touch me, we're cool. Now, albeit, you don't really expect to get stabbed out of all things, but that warning is extremely cut and clear. Leave me the fuck alone and we have no problems. He couldn't leave it alone. It's another instance of a white male trying to assert dominance and superiority over another person. He told you, as long as you leave me alone, we have no problems. And unfortunately, he died because of it. And again, I'm not saying Carmelo killing him was the right thing to do. I'm not saying that at all. But it was obvious too, Carmelo wasn't intentionally trying to kill him. Again, the state of America, the same reason why Cyrus had a gun on him. Black man in America, you're never safe. Especially in these racist ass fucking states, you're not safe. You need something on you at all times to protect yourself. But I'll be damned, that doesn't even fucking matter. Because a white man approaches you with threatening your life and is looking for the intent to kill you. You whoop his ass back, you go to jail for an assault charge. You don't do anything back, you possibly die. You kill him, you go to jail for fucking murder. There's no winning in a case for a black person in America. There's no winning, and there never will be until there are major changes. And unfortunately, the way that America is going, the way that it seems like the fucking majority is, the reason I say majority is because Trump won by a decent margin voting wise, right? So that would be the presumed majority. If the majority keeps voting for alleged racists and alleged pedophiles and alleged assholes and alleged, bad people, there's no hope for anybody who isn't a blue-eyed, white-skinned, blonde-haired, rich male. And that's the worst part. He doesn't even care about all white people. He only cares about his rich. I'm getting hot. He only cares about his rich white friends. He doesn't even give a fuck about 90% of America, but 90% of the bootlicking ass people on Twitter are going to sit there and slop up Trump's penis all day and night. For what reason? He doesn't even give a fuck about y'all. But I can prove that. Play the clip, bro.
With Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. The only thing that matters when I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think.
You peep how he outright says he does not worry about the Americans' financial situation. You're the president. That's your job is to worry about us. He's in the middle of a big Iran deal. Mind you, a deal about a war that never should have started in the first place. But his daddy, Big Netanyahu, he says the word and Trump goes and does it. Netanyahu tells him, lick my boots. He gonna go, how many times want me to lick it? How fast? How slow? You feel me? That's the part that aggravates the shit out of me. Because no matter what our people do, you cannot win. You cannot win. We have been fighting this fight for ages, bro. For ages. Nothing happens. Back to the Carmelo Anthony. I'm sorry I keep going back to it, but y'all really needed to hear me, bro. Going back to that case, right? People were found peeing on Austin Metcalf's grave, right? Disgusting thing to do. I don't condone that. That is a wrong and heinous thing to do. That is deplorable. You shouldn't be pissing on nobody's grave. You have white people on the internet in a fucking uproar. This is why we need to separate ourselves from these people. This and that. Y'all motherfuckers have been shooting at Emmett Till and Nat Turner's grave for fucking years. Emmett Till has been dead for 70 fucking years and people still shoot at this shit. For what? A black child was murdered because a white woman lied on his name and y'all shoot at his grave to this day. I need y'all to really understand how crazy it is. A black child who has been dead for 70 fucking years is still getting disrespected 70 years later. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? Again, what the peeing on Austin Metcalf's grave, that's not okay. People should have been doing that. But we're not going to act like y'all haven't been doing the same bullshit to our people who have passed away. Fucking George Floyd. The amount of people who made jokes and made their PFPs, the picture of George Floyd, is ridiculous. It's been jokes nonstop about him since he passed away. But Charlie Kirk died, an actual piece of shit, by the way, died. And now it's, oh, well, he was a human being too. What the fuck were they? And that's telling right there. The fact that their immediate argument for Charlie Kirk was that he was a human being too. But they never once said a shit about George Floyd, Emmett Till, Nat Turner, the people who they keep disrespecting after their death, and so many other black people. That's the part that has people heated. So then people ask, well, why does it seem like, black people seem to be so angry all the time? First of all, we're not angry all the time. Some of us like being left alone. I know, crazy fucking thought. But on top of that, you have to understand, it's fatigue, bro. We live in a country that does nothing but try to hold us down. The fucking country was built on our people. Damn right we're going to be fucking annoyed about shit because no matter what we do, bro, we cannot win. Without black people, without the Native Americans, this country would have never fucking been built. But you expect us to sit there and want to be happy? 400 fucking years of slavery? And people will post that graphic and say 400 years of slavery, but they never really talk about the shit that goes on to this day. Now, while slavery is abolished, and here's the crazy part. I hate when their argument is, a lot of white people will use this argument. I'm getting hot. I'm talking fast. I so apologize if you cannot understand what I'm starting to say, but this is a topic I'm very passionate about. This is my people being affected for no reason. Listen, look, some white people's favorite argument, right, is you can't blame me for what my ancestors did. Motherfucker, you do the same shit that they did. You might not capture us because 90% of the time you try to enslave one of us, we gonna whoop your ass. You don't got the same power that you did back then. Well, shit, that's not even fucking true. Huh? Fucking America, right? But you say we can't blame you for the same shit that they did. Y'all do the same shit minus the slavery part. And even then, y'all find loopholes to do this shit. You'll find butlers who are black. You'll find, people to come clean your house that are black. To give you that sense of having the ability to command another human being. Y'all do the exact same shit that y'all ancestors did. And obviously we know it's not all white people. We know that. But I'm sure somebody out here has had a very visceral reaction to my video. Very visceral, nasty reaction to it, saying that, what do you mean, y'all? It's not all of us. How do you think we feel? when one person does something and y'all group us all in with it. But let's keep it going because I'm not fucking done yet. Kendrick Johnson, a 17-year-old student in Valdosta, Georgia, his body was found upside down in a rolled up wrestling mat at Lowndes High School, January 11th, 2013. So the state and federal investigators ruled it as an accidental death. But, and I won't put the picture up for respect out of him and his family, right? How can you sit there and tell me that was an accidental death, that he felt like, if you see the picture and how it's set up, there's almost no possible way to just happen to fall in there, right? It was also said that when the body was found, that his insides were removed, right? How can you rule a death accidental positional asphyxiation, but his fucking insides are removed? To my knowledge, asphyxiation doesn't remove your insides. George Floyd passed away of asphyxiation. His insides weren't removed. So clearly there's something going on here that somebody's not saying. But you know what they said? Ah, fuck it. We're not going to keep investigating. You know why? It's another black man that's dead. What the fucking do? People say that racism and the inequality that black people face isn't real. Yet we live through this shit every single day. A big one they tried to argue was DEI. I said DEI. Terrible grammar. DEI. What DEI stands for is diversity, equity, and inclusion. It was essentially something put in place for companies to not discriminate against you because of your skin color, right? White people don't believe racism exists. So in their mind, they thought DEI was that, oh yeah, black people have an advantage. And then they started calling anybody that was black in a higher position a DEI hire. They fucking called, I seen people call fucking Obama DEI hire. Your racism knows no limits. People are so excited to be racist that they'll purposely sound fucking dumb in order to get their racist point across. Makes no sense. But now with DEI not being a official thing under the Trump administration, of course, who else would have gotten rid of it? Now they're sitting there saying, now we're back to equal footing. Dumb dick. Dummy. DEI made it fair. You legally could not discriminate against us because of our skin color. Some people still did, but they needed to be more discreet about it. Now they don't even gotta be discreet about it. I seen black people on the internet have to lie about them being white just to get an interview. Breonna Taylor was shot multiple times by police. I think about 6 times, one of them being fatal. This happens because Louisville Metro Police Department pulled up to their house, her and her boyfriend, right? Pulled up to their apartment and knocked on the door. I think it was an apartment, a house. It doesn't fucking matter, but pulled up to their place to live in, right? And knocked on the door. They didn't announce themselves, as all cops should be doing, right? Now, the police themselves, of course, are going to say that we did announce ourselves, but Breonna Taylor's boyfriend didn't hear it. None of the neighbors heard it. Nobody heard them announce themselves, right? It was also late as shit at night. You hear a whole bunch of banging and shit on your door, right? As any man would with his woman sleeping next to him. You're in immediate protective mode. I gotta make sure my girl can live to see the next day by any means necessary. He grabs his gun, right? Again, the police don't announce that they're there. So in his mind, when he hears his door open and shit, and then they also use a battering ram, mind you, you hear your door swing open late as shit at night, you would think it's an intruder, as anybody would. He shoots one bullet down the hallway, hitting somebody. He hits one of the cops, injures them. They proceed to then shoot 32 fucking times into the apartment. After Kenneth, let me say his name properly, Kenneth Walker shot one singular bullet out into the hallway. Because again, late as shit at night, you're laid up with your woman, y'all both sleeping peacefully. You hear banging on the door. Nobody's saying who it is. Then you hear your door break the fuck down. You shoot back, as anybody would. Luckily, they did claim him as self-defense. But even then, Kenneth Walker and Breonna Taylor had it said, had asked, who's there? Who is it? Who's there? There was no response by the cops. There's a private investigator who was there, right? So I think you had, 3 cops at the front door. There's either 2 or 3 cops at the front door. Then you had a private investigator on like their like little side window shit, right? I think it was a private investigator. Their side window. After Kenneth Walker shot the singular bullet, they proceeded to shoot 32 bullets to the house. That's not equalized. But furthermore, the private investigator's dumbass proceeds to shoot, I think it said 10 shots through the covered window. I'm not even law enforcement, and I can tell you that was beyond fucking stupid. You can't do that. You can't shoot into a space that you can't see what's behind this cover. He was charged with, so Brett Hankinson, he was the one who shot through the cover window. He was convicted of depriving Breonna Taylor of her civil rights through the unconstitutional use of excessive force by firing bullets through a covered window. He was sentenced to damn near 3 years in prison and 3 years of supervised release. Kelly Goodlett pleaded guilty to 2 counts of conspiracy for working with Joshua James to falsify the search warrant affidavit and cover up the false information. Law enforcement, by the way. That one didn't have the charges, but I found that she had pled guilty to it, and she faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000. Joshua James and Kyle Meany were charged with conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and civil rights violations for preparing and approving a falsified warrant affidavit. However, in August 2024, a federal judge dismissed the major felony civil rights charge against them, reducing the charges to misdemeanors and ruling that Kenneth Walker's actions were the proximate cause of Taylor's death. They're trying to sit there and say that her boyfriend was the reason she died, simply because he was defending themselves. James and Meany still face remaining charges for witness tampering and making false statements to investigators. The officers who fired the fatal shots, Miles Cosgrove and Jonathan Mattingly, were not charged with any crime. Prosecutors determined their use of force was justified because Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, fired first in self-defense. How can you sit there and say that he was justified? How can you sit there and say that what they did wasn't justified because Kenneth Walker shot in self-defense? If I'm shooting at you in self-defense, that means that I feel like my life is in imminent danger. Who's the fucking imminent danger class? The 2 cops who didn't announce themselves late as shit at night, performing a no-knock raid and not announcing themselves. I could keep this video going for a lot longer, but unfortunately I don't have enough storage on my camera nor enough battery life for it. But this video would end up being 4, 5, 6 hours long because of how much shit that we go through. And I really could keep it going. But frankly, I'm tired. And I know a lot of other people are. Because again, regardless of how much you want to sit there and try and deny it, the facts are the facts. It's in your face. Black people are treated so unfairly in America. The camera died mid-recording, so I do have to end pretty soon. But yeah, very, very tired. It's frustrating topic to talk about. It's depressing. It's sad, bro. And unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's coming to an end anytime soon. But please understand that you do have loved ones out there. People are there to support you and help you and protect you. And we're going to keep fighting this fight until something changes. Something going to give. It might take us another 100 years, but something going to give, bro. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Stay safe out there. I love y'all and be smooth.